This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's start now. So we started talking about the third step of our project, that is feature engineering. And feature engineering is a very important step because the original data set came with a set of features, all the inputs characterizing each property. But at times, on their own, those features may not be that useful. That is where we wanted to have a critical look at the various features that are in our original data set and apply some creativity and come up with a set of new features that are more informative than the original features are. So to if you do that, actually we'll be able to help our algorithms to understand the underlying patterns in a much more accurate manner, and because of that we'll be able to build much more accurate models. That's why this step is important. And yesterday we did two sub steps of feature engineering. First, we told we will do our apply domain knowledge about the problem that we are solving and uh, involve various other domain experts and critically look at the existing features and create some new features from these existing features, as well as using some external sources as well. So we applied that step into our real estate fair price transaction price kind of point of view. And then uh, once we exhausted all of our creativity using domain knowledge, we told the next step we can do is that have a critical look at all of the features and apply heuristics such as interaction features. You look at each of these features and figure out, if I multiply these two features, will it give a better idea about the data? Or if I take a proportion of two or three features, will I get much better kind of trend? That kind of thinking we applied, and we completed that step also. So at the time of applying domain knowledge, we came up with two more features, two more columns we added to our uh, data frame. One is two beds and two baths, an indicator variable we have created. After that, also we created using our domain knowledge. During recession, whatever properties have been transacted, we created again another indicator variable based column. And that is how we added two more at the time of applying domain knowledge. And then while looking at the interaction features, we looked at critically, we had two features, transaction year and year built. So we thought if you take a minus of transaction year minus built year, then you will get a new feature, that is property age, and that will be much better feature. So we applied that. And also we actually have in the original data set about the schools, we had two features. One is number of schools in a particular location, as well as the median score of the schools. Then we multiplied those two features and we came up with quality score of education at that location. And that is how another two more features have been created. So all in all, we have created four extra features to our table yesterday. Okay, maybe what we can do is that let me go back, maybe just give me a minute. So let me go back. Okay, so let us get here, yesterday whatever code we exercised yesterday, I didn't show you on my IPYNB file also I'm doing. So first we are having all the header things. Then we already, after data cleaning step, we saved our data frame as cleaned underscore df dot csv. So I am just seeing that once. Okay, this is the one I saved. So I am actually reading that csv cleaned underscore df dot csv into my df variable, and it came now. This is a cleaned table that I saved before I started my feature engineering. Then, using our domain knowledge, we thought, if I isolate all the properties which have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms is more important, because common sense tells that properties with 2 beds and 2 baths are more interested, people are more interested in those kind of properties. So we thought about that. So we created a new feature. How did we create? We created using the existing 2 features, that is beds and baths, that is df.beds and df.baths. And I created a new column called 2 and 2, and I populated using a Boolean expression. So df.beds equal to 2 means if any column with 2 beds and 2 baths, it will be a true, and the true I'm converting into dot as type int, that will convert true to 1, false to 0, and then it will populate. So the whole column. So that is what we are doing here. We are creating a new column. Then once having that column, it is populated with ones and zeros. So generally, if we are interested in how much uh, of our properties actually have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, so we can take a mean of that column, and we found that close to 9.5% of our properties have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And then again, we extended our thinking on the uh, domain knowledge, and we knew that actually there was a housing market recession between 2010 and 2013, and during that time actually property prices have fallen down. So if I want to kind of isolate that information and give it to my algorithm, so the transaction year kind of uh, feature will not help anyway. So we can use information that is existing in the transaction year and create a new column. That is what we are creating during underscore recession. How we are creating? We are putting a Boolean mask on transaction underscore year greater than or equal to 2010 and less than or equal to 2013, and we converted the true or false, whatever it evaluates, that we are converting into int. That is how a new column has been created. So once you have the new column, you can as well look at what is the ratio or proportion of properties that have been transacted during recession. Then we found that around 26.35% of properties that existed in our data set have been transacted during the recession period, and that's a very useful feature to supply to our algorithm. Okay, then once we exhausted all the domain related, we can keep on doing it. You can do a lot of brainstorm and come up with more informative features that will only enhance the performance of your models. But then we stopped here, and then we wanted to apply some heuristics, and how do we use the existing features and interaction between those features. Does it give any better information about the data? So that is how we came to this property age, which is nothing but the transaction year minus the year built. Both columns are already existing, so we created a new column by using this difference between these two. And then because we have a new feature, we wanted to explore and understand, is there, what is the min of property age column that we just created, and we found that there is a property that is -8, means transaction year is actually lower than the year built, means we have paid money upfront. The house has not yet been built, and we got curious and we wanted to know how many such observations are there in our data set, and we found using this sum of df.property underscore age less than 0. So that Boolean mask will filter the data, and we summed up all the observations. There are 19 observations with property age negative. Again, when we closely look at property age negative, it is not unusual, especially when we buy some homes. We pay money, we complete the transaction, but the builder only starts building and sometimes they get delayed. So it is possible, but for the problem that we are solving, actually that is not very useful to keep this 19, because we want to really build a prediction model for the properties that have already been built. So we decided that let us get rid of these 19 observations. So we have overwritten our df with this Boolean mask greater than or equal to 0 only. We wanted to keep on df.property underscore age column, we did this Boolean mask, and whatever is true, those things only I'm overwriting onto df. So if you look at it, 19 of my observations have been removed from my data set. So by feature engineering, coming up with a new feature, new insight about our data, we got it. And because of new insight that we got an opportunity to again clean the data. So we removed a set of observations with property underscore age is actually negative. Then I'm checking it again. So there are no properties that have minus kind of property age. That's fine. So we extended our interaction features thinking, and especially looked at the number of schools and median underscore school. These are the two features already existing in our data set. So we thought having many schools is not the important. Having schools with quality is more important. To kind of, it may have a kind of implication on the price of the property. So we thought let us use interaction between number of schools and the median underscore school score, and then multiplied it and came up with school score. Okay, then we created a new column. This is the fourth column we created, and then also we checked on the new column median score. Quality of is actually 18. You can even describe the whole columns statistics. Then you can see that median is 18, the max is 30, mean is 17, and also min is 3, the quality score. Okay, so because that is more important feature than either of these number of schools and median of schools. Okay, so that is where actually yesterday we stopped yesterday, because I didn't show it to you. Hope all of you are up to here. You are there. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine. So let us. So these two steps have been done now. Okay. So let us continue with the rest of the 3 steps now. The third step is sparse classes. Okay. When the data cleaning step with categorical features, we fixed some of the typographical and other structural issues, redundant classes kind of issues, capitalization issues we solved for our classes inside our categorical features. But at that time we talked about sparse classes, but we did not take any action. Okay, so sparse classes are in categorical features. If you have any classes for which actually there are no sufficient observations, then they are called sparse classes. And sparse classes are not good, especially when we are solving regression problems, and they may cause some problems of overfitting. And also again, when you have fewer observations, then the problem may be much bigger. So better actually take a critical look at the sparse classes as part of our third sub-step in feature engineering and solve that problem. That is what we will do. And then, as I told you, scikit-learn algorithms, they don't like string values in columns. Okay, still our categorical features have all text values, so we must remove them before we are getting ready for training using this data set. So we will take action using dummy variables for our categorical features, and then we will have a final look at our data set and figure out, do I have any redundant features or unnecessary features, and then I decide to remove them, and then I'll prepare a data that can be used now to uh, train some algorithms. So that is what we will do now. First, let us start with sparse classes. Okay, so as we talked about sparse classes earlier on when we were in data cleaning step, so sparse classes are, we want to reduce the number of sparse classes in our categorical features. So whenever we are talking about sparse classes, we are talking about categorical features, because the values in the column with the categorical feature, they are called classes of that feature. Okay, so sparse classes, we want to reduce them. Okay, sparse classes are those that have very few total observations. Okay, so wherever, when we do a count plot, sns.count plot, we can see that, and we have seen for our exterior wall as well as our roof, there are many classes which have very few observations, and those are called sparse classes. So what we will do now, we will have another look at them and try to figure out and club some of them together, so that we reduce the classes, and also each class will have sufficient number of observations that will prevent any potential overfitting problem that might be caused because of them. Okay, as mentioned earlier, they can be problematic for certain machine learning algorithms. At best, they're ignored. Okay, when a lot of observations are there, and even some sparse classes are there, they may be ignored. But when we have fewer observations and a lot of these problems, then it may cause, at worst, they can cause models to be overfit. That is why we must take an action. So before we take action, let us have a quick look at them once more. Maybe if you have your data read into your uh, in your IPYNB file, run up to whatever you have run yesterday, and then run this instruction sns.countplot. On the y-axis, I want to see exterior wall classes. So column y equal to exterior underscore walls, and I'm giving data from my df that I just read. Okay, so have a look at it. Have you got it on your screen? When you have it on your screen, please let me know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so anyway, we actually cleaned it up. Okay, there are no typographical issues, no capitalization issues, and also if you look at it here, the missing, where while looking at missing values of categorical features, we created a new class called missing, and we filled all the NaN, not a number, values within this column. We call them as missing. So missing has around 240 plus observations. This is what we created. So you must be seeing that. If you have followed all the code properly, you will be seeing missing. Are you able to see this missing there in your plot?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we are all on the same page. So now, what are sparse classes? Any of these horizontal bars which have fewer observations. Okay, a lot of them are there. Actually, if you look at it, concrete block has very few observations, then stucco, then wood shingle, masonry, okay, then other, then asbestos shingle. These are all sparse classes. So now we can figure out how to combine them. We can ask a civil engineer or some domain guy, hey, is there any logical way to combine these types of exterior walls? Okay, are they similar or are they same? Can I logically club them? So we can take some input from them and figure out a way to club them and make less number of classes, and also we can remove the sparsity amongst the classes. So we have several classes with very few observations. So let us consider ways we can group them. Okay, so we can do similar classes, and if we don't know, we have to ask someone. But someone, let's say, told us, for example, we might want to group wood siding, wood shingle, and wood into a single class, because all of them are related to a wall type that is related to wood. Okay, so that is one clubbing action we can take it up. So in fact, let us just label all of them as wood instead of having all three. So we know already. How do we do this? If you want to combine classes of a categorical feature, what do you do? We use df dot replace, and you give what is the thing that you want to replace with what. Okay, if you, and in place equal to true. So I want you to remember these small instructions, so that as soon as you get the idea in your mind, you should be able to do that. So in fact, let us just label them as wood. Again, we can use the dot replace function for this purpose. So this is how we do it. So df dot my column name exterior underscore walls, on that column object I am running a replace function. And in replace, what I am doing, first I want to replace these two classes. So because there are two, I am passing a list containing those two classes, that is wood siding and wood shingle. I made it as a list. So I want to replace these things with what? With wood. Okay, so in the new, after replacing in place equal to true, so wood siding and wood shingle will be gone, and they will be added to one class wood only. Okay, so that is how the replace thing works. So please do that and let me know once you have done it. But again, when you do it here, exactly how this text strings are there, type those strings that way only. And also whatever you are creating a new class, also that also spelling should be correct. Otherwise, again, your data and my data will be different, so we'll get little different results. So be careful when we do it. Let me know once you have done it. So basically, we are using dot replace function. We passed a list. Okay, for the first argument, we want to replace these two with this third one. So that is the dissection of this.
Yes, sir. Done.
Not rocket science. Okay, so we have done that. So basically, go back to our count plot once. So we have done wood. Now wood would have become a little bigger, and whatever wood siding and whatever other thing we have done wood related, that wood shingle, these are the two have been clubbed into wood. Okay, so it will, these two will be gone, and in their place a bigger thing has come, because some civil engineer told us all woods are same, don't worry, you can club them as wood. Okay, so we did that. But then some more are there still: asbestos, shingle, other masonry, wood shingle. Anyway, we took care of that. Stucco, concrete block, all these things are there. So let us go, and maybe our civil engineer told us also, you put all other sparse classes that you are seeing in your SNS count plot, make it as other, so that other will be bigger than so many things, because other is also there. So make all these fewer observations with other classes, make it as other. So now we can group the remaining sparse classes into single other class, even though there is already another class. So whatever small observations with various descriptions, I will get rid of them and put everything as other. Okay, so let us label stucco, other, asbestos shingle, concrete block, masonry, everything I'm putting is even other also into other, so that one big bar I can see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes I want to replace with other. Okay, so that is the action we are taking. So when you do this little to readable code, here what we have done is that I'm creating a list, other underscore exterior underscore walls. I'm creating a list. Okay, first, and in the list I'm adding all these things: concrete blocks, stucco, masonry, other, asbestos shingle, because there are too many. When we type in the first argument, then our actually instruction, it will go beyond some 70 columns, which is not a good practice in Python. So if you want to read the code and understand, always keep it within the 70 columns limit. So to follow that standard, good readability standard, whenever, because the whole line is horizontally increasing beyond 70 columns, so better actually apply. Anyway, what we want to do is that this we want to put it here, then this becomes a big instruction. So instead of that, what I'm doing, I'm creating a readable variable list. I'm putting a list object, and in the df dot exterior underscore walls dot replace, the first argument I am putting the list, the second argument, the one I want to club all of them into other, so other, and in place equal to true, then it becomes a little bit readable code. So whenever you also write code and whenever it's horizontally increasing, then other people will not be able to read it properly, understand it properly. So follow that best practice. So we have followed that best practice here and created this. Hope you are actually typing this code. So since we had quite a few classes to lump together, we created a separate list object just to keep our code cleaner. Okay. So please let me know once you have done this step.
Done,
Have
sir.
we done this? Oh, great. So we have taken care of sparse classes within our column, that is roof. These are roof or exterior wall. I think exterior walls we have taken care. But now we also know there is a problem with our roof feature. Okay, there are a lot of classes as well as a lot of sparse classes. So once for all, because we are doing a feature engineering step, so we are modifying some features, classes within those features. So that is why this particular sparsity cleaning problem we have undertaking in feature engineering step. So I want you to very cleanly put all these steps in your mind. We started with exploratory data analysis, 5 steps, then data cleaning, 5 steps. Now as we came into feature engineering, again 5 steps. In that we are doing the third step where we are taking action on our sparse classes. So when we have another categorical feature with sparse classes that we explored and understood, and also at the time of data cleaning we have seen. So let's take action on that now. Okay, so now this is the whatever cleaned up exterior walls. You can look at now sns.count plot again, you run that. So now things are looking much better now. Okay, each of these things have more observations. Okay, it looks like each of the remaining classes have decent number of observations. There are no structural issues. Okay, this whole bar chart looks much better. Okay, so we solved at least one problem. If you want, have we looked at this new whatever changed count plot after taking up the action on your exterior walls?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let us get to again, what is the rule of thumb for grouping sparse classes? There is no formal rule of how many each class needs, but we have to remove sparsity. That is good for us. Okay, it also depends on the size of your data set and the number of other features you have. If you have a lot of features, lot of rows, then we can take a different view. Okay, so there is no rule of thumb basically, but we can always use in whatever problems you will be solving in future. As a rule of thumb, we recommend combining classes until the each one has at least around 50 observations. Till the time you combine. Okay, it may be different for different kind of data sets, but generally do that. As with many rule of thumb, use this guideline, not actually as a rule. Again, when you as a team you have to decide the implication of these classes on a potential model that will be built. It depends on many factors. For now, we are taking a simple thing is that ensure that every class at least is present in more than 50 observations. Then only keep it. If it is less than, then club with some other. That is what we are telling. So now let us go to roof. Okay, let us do a count plot of roof as it is existing now. Already we cleaned up during the data cleaning, and also we added missing somewhere. Okay, where is our missing here? I think this is missing on the top. Okay, we have almost 300 plus missing things we have added, which had man for roof. So when you look at your sns.count plot on y-axis, you give roof feature and data equal to df, then you will be seeing this count plot. And tell me, do you have this count plot? Are you there? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, Madhi.
So you got this count
Yes,
plot
Madhi.
on your screen? Okay. Okay. So let's
Yes,
clean
sir.
up. There are a lot of sparse classes here. Okay. So other gravel, rock, roll composition, slate, built up asbestos, metal. Okay. Composition, many things are there. So let us take up some action. Okay. First, group composition and wood shake shingles into one composition shingle class. Okay, because some civil engineer knows that these are all one and the same, similar kind of classes. So composition and wood shake shingles into composition. We know now how to do that. So df dot roof dot replace these two, put it in a list object as the classes that you want to replace, and with this one composition shingle. So these two will go into composition shingle in place equal to true. Then you will have actually removed composition and wood shake shingles to composition shingle. Okay, please do that. This is a little bit boring stuff, but we have to do that. Got it? Again, when you put these strings exactly how they are there in the, we have to use that way only. This wood space shake, this slash and a space at shingles.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay, so now at least we took care of one issue. Now still there are many sparse classes, so all of them let us club into other. So we have other, gravel rock, roll composition, slate, built up, asbestos, metal. So many small bars are there. So we are putting all of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the classes into one single class. We are putting as other. Okay, so again you put that first list object and then do that to a cleaner code. So I'm putting one variable called other underscore roofs, and I have put all these 7 as my list object, 7 items in the list object, all strings of roofs. And then I'm using df.roof and dot replace this list object with other. So first argument is other underscore roofs. The second object is other string in place equal to true. So all these 7 classes will be clubbed into one single class other. Okay. So then let us do a SNS.count plot of the new whatever we have modified and see for roof how is it looking like. So did we remove sparsity? Then we have done decent job already. So got it up to here? So did you get up here, up to here?
1 minute, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, can I move forward?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So we have taken action on both of our categorical features which had issues with sparse classes, and we figured out a solution. Now, if you do a SNS.count plot, it looks pretty clean. Okay. So we have fewer classes and each class has decent observations. Bars are looking much better. Okay. So this kind of categorical feature is much better than having too many classes with lot of sparse classes. Then it is not good for our model. So we have taken action. So if you have count plotted using SNS, then you will see a prettier count plot than we had previously. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now with that, we have solved the third problem of our features, that is sparse classes. So we started with domain knowledge, added two features, important features. We applied interaction of features, and we did add two more interesting features. And then we looked at critically the categorical features with sparse classes that we already knew earlier, but we came here and solved that problem. Okay. Now we will move to the fourth step of our feature engineering. Okay, that is dummy variables. Okay. Now, if you look at our table generally has a lot of numbers, except for 3 columns. It will be filled with, like say if it is tx year. Okay. Then we have, let's say, square feet. Okay, like that there are there. But when it came to property type, okay, then roof, then exterior wall, okay, then let's say lot size. These are all numbers. Okay, these are all numbers. Whereas when you come to property type, these are strings. Okay, some text values. Okay, roof also will have some string. Exterior also will have some string values. Whereas other things will have numbers. Okay, here ditto. Okay, so still these columns are not good enough for our scikit-learn algorithms, because scikit-learn algorithm wants no strings here. We have to remove them. In their place, we have to put some numbers, because ultimately scikit-learn algorithm is a number crunching algorithms. So they don't know what to do if we pass it on to them some text values. So before we get ready for our model training part, we have to take an action. Okay, and that action we will take now. Okay, and that is what we are calling dummy variables. Okay, this is called one hot encoding technique. So many types of encoding are there, but we will use one encoding method. So encode dummy variables into your categorical feature classes. That is what we will really do. So we have to basically keep this information, but we have to encode them in a way without losing any information. We are telling our algorithms using some numbers. So we have to use some encoding method to encode a text value that is filled in a column into a number kind of thing without losing any critical information in that feature. Okay, so that is what we will do. So encode dummy variables. So right now we have 3 categorical features. Scikit-learn machine learning algorithms cannot directly handle categorical features. Okay, specifically they cannot handle text values. Okay, that is why we have to do this action. We have to fill them with dummy variables. Therefore, we need to create dummy variables for our categorical features. Okay. What are dummy variables? Dummy variables are a set of binary 0 or 1 binary features that each represent a single class from a categorical feature. Okay, don't worry, you will understand soon. Don't worry about that. The information you represent is exactly the same, but this numeric representation allows you to pass scikit-learn's technical requirement. That is why we need to do this step. So let us look at our example roof. So after we removed sparsity, now if you look at our roof has like roof column is there. Okay, if you take only roof column, then some rows will be having missing, some let's say missing, then some will have other, then asphalt, then shake shingle may be missing, again asphalt, composition shingle. I'm not writing in a clean handwriting, but all these 5 text values will be there in the column. In the 1883 observations are right now we have only 1869. If you take it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1869 for the roof column, if you look at vertically, then it will be filled with one of these textual values or strings. Okay, now we are telling scikit-learn doesn't like it, so we have to put them into we have to apply some encoding mechanism and convert them into numbers, and then without losing any information. So that is what we have to do. So how do we do that? So what really we have to do is that I want to create for each class a new column. Let's say first class is roof, actually roof, let me put it underscore. The first one is missing. So I create a new column. Because of this pen thing, I'm not able to write properly. Okay, roof missing. Okay, roof composition shingle. Okay, like that other 3. Then the roof, I'm writing on top now, roof other. Okay, then roof asphalt, roof shake shingle. So I will create, because there are 5 classes are there, what I will do, I will create these 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 columns I will create now on my data frame. Okay, and what I will do, how do I populate values? Let's say the first row for the roof, it is missing, so I'll put a 1 here, and for other rest of the 4, composition shingle 0, other 0, asphalt 0, shake shingle 0. Let's say I come to other, then roof missing 0, roof composition shingle 0, but roof other I will put as 1, and other 2 are 0, 0. Like that I will encode based on how my roof column is populated with the text values. For each of the text values that are called classes, I create a new column and I put a 1 if actually for that class there is a value in that, otherwise rest of the things are 0. Hope you got my point.
Yes, sir. Binary mapping.
Yeah, we will do that. Yeah, so basically roof has these things. So what I will do, therefore you would create 5 dummy variables on your tables. 5 new columns you will create: roof underscore missing, roof underscore composition shingle, roof underscore other, roof underscore asphalt, roof underscore shake shingle. For each of the class in that column I created, because there are 5, I created 5 new columns. And then if an observation in the data set had a roof made up of composition shingle, I'm taking an example, it would have the following values for the dummy variables. So the new 5 columns for roof underscore composition shingle, I'll put 1, because the first observation in the text it is composition shingle, so I put a value 1. Others, actually I'll put 0. Let's for an other observation, other is filled with other, then I will put 1 here, rest of the things 0. If something has asphalt in the row, okay, so asphalt I will put 1, rest of the things 1. That is how I encode each of these classes using new columns and populating them with these binary values. Okay, so thankfully it is not at all complex. So pandas has a very useful function, okay, that is called get dummies. Okay, what you have to do is that very simple. Thankfully pandas has an incredibly easy function for doing this automatically. You don't need to worry at all. You have to call that function pd.getDummies and pass your data frame and pass your list of categorical feature column names. If you do that, it will do. The function is pd dot get underscore dummies. Remember that. Okay. How do we use it? We can simply pass it a data frame. Our data frame is df now. Okay. And the list of columns to make into dummy variables. Okay. I want to do it for property type, exterior wall, roof. These are the three columns I want to create dummy variables. So here I am doing that. Df equal to, again, it creates a new df. The df has to be overwritten. Okay. So new df will actually remove. Now actually what will happen? We started with some 25 with a target variable. It is 26 columns. Already we added 4 more columns, 30. And these, when we do for property type 2, then roof some 5, then exterior wall another 5, then all, it will become more columns now after we do that. So we are overwriting the df with this new information. So if you do that, pd dot get underscore dummies. So first argument is your df, which df you want to get dummies for, and then which columns you want to do this encoding. So what are the columns we have to do? Categorical columns: exterior underscore walls, roof, property type. If you have many, all those things you will put as columns, and one single shot you will convert all these textual values into this binary encoding. Okay, do this. So to understand, we can simply pass it a data frame and a list of columns to make into dummy variables. 2 arguments it takes. Okay, so remember it, because every time you have to do this before we start training our models. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now you can have a look at df.head, whatever. So because this function returns another data frame, we have overwritten. Don't forget to overwrite it. Okay, after overwriting, we have a new data frame with all these changes. So let us display the first 5 rows again to see the new features. So if you look at it, exterior walls underscore brick. Okay, exterior, whatever the original exterior walls will be removed. It will not be in the table now. Only these new columns with these things will be there. And as I told you, if the original observation is exterior walls in this particular row, it has been filled with 1, rest of them are 0. Like that, it does that. So if you go through your table, none of the text information will be there now. They will be all numbers. Okay, so at least we came up to that point in the project now. Okay, this is, I'm horizontally scrolling and showing in my screen because I copy pasted it, but we can see all the things have been removed. Okay, but if you look at your df.shape now, the columns would have increased to almost 40 plus. Check that once, df.shape. It will throw you rows, comma, columns. So columns have been increased now in our table. So we are engineering the features. That is why we have put this as a feature engineering step. Anything that we modify on the column side, it is actually feature engineering. Okay. Have you seen that?
Yes, sir.
So you are not seeing any textual values on your table now. Okay. So let me move on.
Yes.
So that is what we have done. It is as simple as that. So you have converted all your textual values into numbers using this simple dummy variable mechanism, and there is a useful function, and it takes care of all that without having to worry on coding and all. Okay, so at least now you met the technical expectation from the scikit-learn algorithm, but not everything is over now. Still, data has to undergo a little bit more changes. Like when we did our toy project, we talked about scaling issues and all. but we will not solve that is in the feature engineering time. We will solve at the time of model training. How do I take care of scaling issues? Okay, but right now I'm quite okay with the data set now because it doesn't have any textual values. It has all cleaned up data. It has new features. It has everything encoded into numbers. Okay, so that is a good state to arrive at. So now what we will do, we will save this data set. Okay, and we usually call it as ABT, analytical base table. But just before that, let us critically look at all features, and if any features are not useful, okay, remove them. So because you are removing columns, anything you are doing with column is a feature. Because you are modifying, it is called feature engineering. So we are having that fifth step in our feature engineering step, remove unused. Okay, so that is the step we are doing now. What is this? Unused features. Remove unused and redundant features. Anything extra, remove it. Anything unused, also remove it. Sometimes in, let's say, different type of data sets, employee name is there, employee ID is there. So employee names, you don't need to encode them into dummy variables. Then it will be, if there are 10,000 employees are there, if you encode all these 10,000 employees, then you will create 10,000 columns. So there is no point like that, and that is not a useful information, useful feature to feed it to. If employee ID is there, that is good enough. Okay, so that kind of things we call it as unused features. Unused features are those that don't make sense to pass it on to our machine learning algorithms. So delete them, delete those columns, drop those columns. Examples of unused features include ID columns, other text descriptions. These are all examples of unused features. If at all in your table such things are there, just drop them. And another thing is redundant. Okay, for this data set, we don't have any unused features. We don't have that kind of thing. Everything is useful only so far. So we don't need to take any action right now. Okay, but let us look for redundant. Unused we look now. We are looking for redundant. So at the time of feature engineering, we have created property age from a feature called transaction underscore year and year underscore built. Using these two features, I created property age feature, and I told property age is a much better informational feature to describe transaction prices of properties. So we built this feature, engineered this feature in our table. Now we can kind of conclude that if property age is there, I don't need actually tx underscore year and year underscore built columns. Okay, again it is a call that you will make, maybe discussing with your team. Okay, so since we'll be applying to the future transactions, we might want the algorithm to focus the learning patterns from the other features. So that is why we might decide, okay, sometimes it is not, we might decide to delete it, but sometimes it is not quite black and white. Okay, there might be no clear right or wrong decisions for this step. That's okay, but again, it's a group decision. A lot of people will be on the team. You have to critically look at it, and then anything you think it is a redundant feature after you have completed your feature engineering step, then after discussion, careful choice, you remove them. So here in this case, we are deciding property age is a good feature to have. So I don't want tx underscore year and year underscore built. I can remove them. Let's say I decided that. So let us remove those features and create our analytical base table. This is a very important milestone. We have started with a raw data set, understood the data, cleaned the data, feature engineered the data. Now I have a data that I can use for model building now. And usually in machine learning terminology, we call it as ABT, analytical base table. So it's an important milestone we reached. So we can use pandas to drop dot drop function to drop these columns. Any columns you want to drop, you have to use df.drop. What all columns you want to drop, give them. If there are more columns, a list of columns. And don't forget to use this access equal to 1, means whole column will be dropped. Okay, and a new df is created, so you have to overwrite your df. So df equal to df.drop. I'm dropping 2 columns, tx underscore year and year underscore build. So I put it in a list and I dropped it. So you please do that and tell me when you are done.
Yes, sir. Done.
Okay, now if you go and look at df.shape, tell me what are the numbers you are getting. How many columns and how many rows?
Sir, 1863 and 41.
Okay, so let us check, because if we have my steps and your steps are same, then both of us will get that. I'll also look at it. Axis equal to 1 because we are dropping columns. So let us save our new data frame that we augmented through feature engineering. So let us save it now. We will call it the analytical base table. We'll call it as ABT because we'll be building our models on this table. Okay, so we are using now df dot to underscore csv. Whatever you do, abt dot csv, or I have put here analytical underscore base underscore table dot csv, index equal to none, and save it to your file system, because we will again pull it back and do, after understanding or evaluating all the algorithms, we will start model training process using this table. So if this table should be same for all, whatever I am doing, you are doing. So we have to, if you have missed any data manipulation steps, the tables will not be same. If you have missed something, so we have to check that once. So you did this step. Did you save it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we have reached a very important milestone. The final tip for all this is that not all of the features you engineer need to be winners. Okay, because I told you it's an open-ended game. It's a very tough game. Okay, so whatever we did may not be the best ones. Okay, and there is no such best one also. In fact, you will often find that many of them don't improve your model. Okay, that's okay. One highly predictive feature makes up for 10 duds. Okay, in the tables of 10 unused, not so useful features are there, but one feature is very useful to understand the underlying pattern between input and the target variable. That's good. Okay, so the key is choosing machine learning algorithms that can automatically select the best features. That is the key. So far we are doing all the manual way, using our creativity to engineer features, but there are algorithms, and some kind of tuning of algorithms will enable you to let the algorithm select on its own the best features. Okay, so that's called built-in feature selection. When we look at algorithms, we'll talk about them, how algorithms do that. Okay, so this will allow you to avoid overfitting your model despite providing many input features. This automatic or built-in feature selection by an algorithm actually also helps you to solve this overfitting problem when you already we have too many columns. In fact, in really complex problems, the columns will go up to some hundreds and thousands also. Then that is what we call, each column adds a dimension to our problem. So that is called, actually, dimensionality explosion happens. When dimensionality explosion happens, it is a problem to solve that problem. So that's why we have to figure out a lot of ways to reduce the dimensionality also. So there are various mechanisms. We will learn them as we learn new things. Another 2 projects we have to do, then we will learn all of them, don't worry. So with that, we have completed completed our uh, step, feature engineering step. So third step we have completed. So the next step is actually we have to review some regression algorithms. So a little bit theoretical thing we do, but again, as I told you from the beginning, this particular course is not focused on learning too much internal details of algorithms, because those things right now don't add any value. We want to use algorithms that are already there, and we are learning only how to use them, and as we use them, how to understand them. So our course will not focus on mastering algorithms, because our goal is not to build new algorithms. Okay, our goal is to build some practical models. But maybe if later on some point in time you want to get involved in research of algorithms, definitely you have to learn that way. But our course will not focus on that. I want to set the expectations very clearly. Okay, so are you there with me?
Yes, sir. Sir, can we please check the shape of DF?
That's what I will do now. So whatever I have done, so up till yesterday I have done. Now we are grouping the sparse classes. So I have first count plot of my exterior walls. I looked at this critically. There are a lot of sparse classes. I checked with my civil engineer friend. They advised me a particular way of grouping them. So I am grouping them. First, all wood related things I have put into wood. Then all other sparse classes, everything I have put, including the other, into other. Okay, so that one class has been made out of that. So I took that problem of my exterior walls. Then I am replotting, and it looks pretty good. My civil engineer friend also tells, okay, it's good, you can go ahead, because it's a domain game anyway. Okay, then I looked at my roof feature. Again, it also has many sparse classes. So critically I looked at it, and then similarly all composition, wood shake shingles, everything I put into composition shingles. That's what my friend told me. And then all small sparse classes, including the other, I put all of them as other, one single other class. Okay, like in whatever we cannot count, we always tell miscellaneous. So other is like that, miscellaneous. So now I redo my plot, and my plot looks much better now. Only 5 classes, and it looks pretty good. Okay, then what I did, uh, again, I'm just seeing the unique classes of these things, and also seeing my head of this, just what are the new in the exterior walls. Only 5 are there now. Okay, now I wanted to encode them with numerical values rather than binary numerical values than the textual values. So I am just running on my pd.get thing to just check how it works. So exterior walls, if I look at only exterior walls, let me go here. uh, my exterior walls, there are 5: brick veneer, exterior wall combination. 5 are there: exterior walls metal, exterior walls missing, exterior walls other. So my anyway, I have done it on the previous thing, df. So it is showing all the things. Okay, after, but what we can do really is that this is not the way to do all the things together once. Okay, so I have put that whole object that has been done as ABT. You must have done as DF. Okay, so I called it as ABT directly. So what we have to do is that I have 42 columns. Okay, in my ABT. One of you told you have 41. Okay, maybe you might have missed one feature engineering step
Okay, sir.
at this time. But actually, again, I'm removing. Oh, 1 minute. We are removing transaction year and year built. Okay. After that, I'm saving it here. But again, if I look, let's say ABT dot shape, it should be now 40 actually. Okay. What happened? ABTT dot shape. It's an attribute. Okay. 1863 and 40 are the.
Yes, sir, getting 40.
This is the final state in which we have landed. So right now, whatever in the data cleaning step, I created one block of code called mission critical code. Now for feature engineering also, I created mission critical code. So what I did, whatever charts, drawings we are doing, that code is not important. Whatever we are manipulating the original data frame, that all I'm putting it as one place. So I have some mission critical code in my data cleaning code, IPYNB file, and also whatever we have done in the 5 steps, I put into one single place all the instructions that have manipulated directly our data frame. This is very important. Why it is important? Let me talk about it a little bit quickly and then we'll close it. Why it is important? Okay. Hope you are able to see my screen. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's say we started with a raw data set. Okay. We started with a raw data set. Okay. In the project. Then anyway, the first step is more about understanding the data. We didn't do any change. But the second step is actually data cleaning. We came to data cleaning. Then we ran a lot of steps which have modified this raw data set. So I have put all that code in one place. Okay. Then I saved here my cleaned data set and started using for my feature engineering. Okay. And then again, whatever manipulation code, I put it one place. Why it is important? So now let us say after this, what we have? We have this new table called ABT, analytical base table. So this is far more different from this, and this is having almost everything that is needed for us to do training of the models now. Okay, so I will use ABT, okay, and train using some algorithms. I train using this data. With many algorithms I will try, with many settings I will try, then I will evaluate metrics, and finally whichever one model that has the best metrics, like whatever we did in our toy project, that model I will select. Okay. And in fact our project scope is that you have to select this winner model and hand it over to our client. Okay. Then the client will have to build an application around this. Now what happens? Let's say this model is built. Why did we build the model? We actually built this model to predict on new unseen data. Using this raw data set the customer gave, we built this model now after doing all these steps. Okay. Now we will have another data, new unseen data. Okay. And when we pass on this data, instead of a human being, our model should do some predictions about transaction prices, and that should be accurate. So then only our real estate company will be benefited. Right now, our real estate company, human beings are doing this function of looking at new data, and for each property, this will sell at 200,000, this will sell at 500,000, like that. People are telling. But in future, once our data-driven solution is there with our customer, people should be able to use this on a new unseen data, and the model should be able to give you prediction. So people, they take this model class, whatever I deliver it to them after pickling, they have to build an application. They have to build an application which reads the new unseen data, and let's say there is a form user interface, I fill in everything, then I press submit, then it has to give me output. on my screen. For this property, this is the prediction. And if it is good, we have removed human interface in this whole prediction process. But the problem is that our model has been built on this data, ABT. But when I give this new unseen data, that may be in this shape, raw data shape, because customer is using that kind of data collection, and so they will give that data only. But our model is built on this data has actually 1883 observations with some 26 columns. By the time we came to ABT, that row is not important, but we have 40 columns, some 1869, 40 columns. So a lot of data modification has been done. So now I cannot pass straight away my new unseen data to my model file whenever I am building an application. I have to capture this data cleaning programs, feature engineering program. I have to capture these things and maybe develop a Python class, and whatever user interface is taken, I will pass my Python class here, this data, then that will run all this data cleaning, then it will do feature engineering, and then it will almost bring this new unseen data to this shape, especially 40 column shape. Then only my model will start predicting, otherwise it will tell shape error. Okay, that is why whenever you are doing any project, whatever code that is you are writing for manipulating your raw data set, you have to keep it aside in a single place so that later on you can use your Python programming skills and convert into a class. Okay, class that does data cleaning and feature engineering. Then to that class you pass this raw data set, new unseen raw data set. Then your model also integrate into that. Anyway, you can build the application using a lot of user interface, but fundamentally inside something like that has to happen. Okay, so hope you understood that. That's why keep that code very cleanly somewhere is useful. Okay, any questions? Are you there with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you don't have any questions further, then we can stop here. So anyway, tomorrow again, Monday to Friday, every day we are doing the class. So we will start with review of regression algorithms. That is our fourth step. Then fifth step is really building models. Okay, so once we do that, our first project will be done. Then second, and this is the second actually after toy, but the classification and clustering we will do it will faster than what we did now, because we have understood all the things now. Okay, so fine, then we will stop here. Learn, have fun. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.